that's going to be going on today, and I'm going to do things just a little bit different. I'm going to step out of my comfort zone. I mean, if you were wearing a shirt like this, wouldn't you be stepping out of your comfort zone? Just a little bit. Okay, now our subject all month has been health, and that's a really big subject to try and cover. That's why they gave it a whole month, I guess.
What is it?
Well, we're talking about health.
Oh, that. Oh, that.
And speaking of health, that's not health. Speaking of health. Now, health is just, I mean, that's really big in the news these days, isn't it? I mean, it seems like every time you pick up a paper or you listen to the news on radio or television, you hear something else from in the health report. I mean, there's the Ebola outbreak in Africa, and how it's going to come to the U.S. and Europe if we're not really careful about it. And then there's that measles epidemic that started in Disneyland of all places.
Yeah.
and it's spreading all over simply because all these people who are just either neglect or refuse to get their kids vaccinated, and just all the stuff about health, let alone the air quality here in the valley that is causing all these asthma problems. So health is a really big thing in the news, right? Only, let's face it, that's not talking about health, that's talking about sickness. If it's in the news, it's about who got sick and how they got sick and what made them sick, and that's not really talking about health. Now, my talk is on speaking of health. So now, unity is a metaphysical teaching, and in metaphysics we learn that what you put your attention on is what you experience, and that's why people like Donald Trump are always experiencing, their attention is on lack. Let's face it, he's so afraid of being without that he's got to go out and get, and he's still afraid of being without, so that's what his attention on, so he never really experiences and enjoys what he's got. But now, how do we apply this to health? Well, if we put our, let's take the flu, for example. If we put our attention on the flu and say, well, well, there's all this flu going around, and well, if you put your attention on it, that's what you experience. So now, if my attention is right there on the flu, then that's practically a guarantee that I'm going to have some experience of the flu, whether it's me or my family or my coworkers who get sick. It's going to impact my life. So the answer then is to concentrate on everything else, except the flu, right? Only it doesn't work that way. I keep thinking, the example that came to my mind is this. You might have remembered either reading the books when you were a kid or seeing the cartoon. Winnie the Pooh explaining to Piglet all about the heffalumps and how sometimes they climb up in the tree, and then hello, and then when you look up, then they pounce on it. And Piglet immediately replies, "I'm looking down, Pooh." And that's the same sort of thing. But now, if you're avoiding looking at the heffalump in the moon, your attention is still on the beastie, because then you have to, so that you know which way not to look. And it's still the same. Your attention is right there. So there's got to be an answer someplace, right? Okay, so I'm going to digress for just a little bit here, and believe me, we'll come back to that. But now, how many of you are like me? You're sick and tired of hearing all these stories about these parents who believe, or at least say they believe, that vaccinations lead to autism. And it's these stupid parents that are setting the situation up so that all sorts of kids are going to be sick. And some people like that just make you sick. I mean, you said that, right? They make you sick.
They get you sick.
And that's the real problem right there.
Wow.
Getting back to metaphysics, we talk about affirmations. And if you're affirming, I'm sick and tired of this, and I don't care what fill in the blank is, but, I said, I'm sick and tired. And the universe says, okay, yeah, you're right. You're sick. Oh, and in addition, you're tired. And these people make me sick. Well, guess what? You're saying, you make me sick. You make me sick. And not only do you give away your health, you're also giving away your ability to control your health. Because if you are able to make me sick, then you have more control over whether or not I'm sick than I do.
Yep.
I mean, so the answer then has got to be someplace else. Now, if we don't want to have the flu, going back to that, if you don't want to have the flu, then you study all the different ways to avoid having the flu, right? And if the problem is, let me look at my notes here just a little bit. If you're worried about the flu, you're asking yourself the question, am I going to have the flu? But now, Marlene, you were a school teacher. You can check me out on this. If we diagram out that sentence, am I going to be sick? Am I going to have the flu? And if we do it as a diagram, we have the same subject, I, and the same object, flu, and the verb is am going to be. And it doesn't matter whether we have that question mark or not. It diagrams out the same. Am I going to be sick is the same as I am going to be sick. So that's our affirmation. So we can't be, if we look at it that way, and it doesn't do us any good. We are bringing about the very experience we're trying to avoid. So, well, how about if we say, well, I am not going to have the flu this year. I'm not going to have the flu this year at all. Except that, again, that's the problem with the heffalump in the room again. We're looking the other way, and our attention is still right back there on the flu. So, there's got to be a way to do this right. Now, how about if we say, this year, I am going to be healthy this year. All this year, I am going to be healthy. And that's a much better approach right there, because not only do you avoid the flu, you avoid the cold and asthma and rheumatism and everything else, except that there's still one little problem with that. If I say, I'm going to be governor of California, it would, believe me, that is a job I do not want. But if I say that, does that sound like I am governor of California right now? So if I say I am going to be healthy all this year, that says it leaves the door wide open for all these other illnesses to come in and grab me by the hair and say, no, you're not. Because that's putting it off into the future. And you've heard it, I don't know how many times before. The only time we have is right now. Yesterday's dead and gone. Tomorrow is always at least a day away. The only time we really have is right here and right now. It's the only time we can experience. It's now. So the way we do this is by making our affirmation. I am healthy. I know you've heard the song because we sang it just last week. I am healed. I am whole. I am healthy. Yeah, say it with me. I am healed. I am whole. I am healthy. Now, say it like you believe it. I am healed. I am whole. I am healthy. Now say it like you know it. I am healed. I am whole. I am healthy. And that just, when you think about it, that just covers everything. Not only do we avoid all these viruses and bacteria that's floating around out there, all these different conditions that could impact our lives, we make it right here and right now. Now, sure, we may need some help with that. You know, we got our physical health, and we may need the help of a doctor or a surgeon or a dietitian. Dietitian. But sometimes we need help with that. But we have the help already, and we're just getting a little bit of help improving that just a bit. But we are already healed, whole, and healthy. And that's what's true for our physical health. That goes for our mental health too. I mean, we may need the help of a counselor, or a psychiatrist or psychologist to help with our mental or emotional state, but we are already healed, whole, and healthy. And it's not just for us as individuals. It goes for our society too. If we make that affirmation, we are healed, whole, and healthy, then that affects our neighborhoods, and our towns, and our cities, and our counties, and our states, and our nations, and our world. We are healed, whole, and healthy. We may need the help of some lawyers and politicians, but we are already healed, whole, and healthy. Now, I keep saying, that unity is a metaphysical teaching, and the word metaphysics, that means beyond physics. There's only so much that you can learn in the sciences about. You've got chemistry and you have physics, and then after physics, something goes a little bit beyond that. And the physicists out there can't really tell you much about spirit, which actually controls a lot of the physics that they see. I mean, you can run experiments and see that a photon. You split a photon, and so you've got two different photons going in two different directions. But what you do to this one over here affects that one over there, and you can, and it's instantaneous. And physics doesn't cover this, but metaphysics does, because it goes beyond physics. So we can affect the future. Physics can't. We can decide what we want to experience. So let us deal in metaphysics. Let's all be metaphysicians. Go beyond what the physicians can do for us. Take charge of our own health. And from this day forward, just know, I am healed, I am whole, I am healthy. And with that, I'm just going to step back and let you get on with the job.